Divine Providence for Man and Nature 1. In the extremity of the crystal-clear blue sky reside the gods who administer divine plot. The houses of the universe are built in the various layers. Ceaselessly and restlessly since the beginning to the past, the present and the future all live in the house, are alive and have life without an exception. People have forgot the work of life and what it is. People have been distorted to forget even their limitless possibilities and got used to only the ups and downs of a worldly life. They have been isolated only in their own fabricated world where they carry their flesh bodies with only egoism. Divine providence of the universe and the nature separate them. All the living things and materials in the three-dimensional world have neglected to think about the God's will and the connections with the four-dimensional world. Except for the case required to realize one's egoistic wish. People only pursue one's substantial will and neglect to search for the God's will, and in the end, result in the state where they are inferior to even the animals. Now it has entered time of the reunification, in which the whole universe and the transition are in the process of the advancement. The confusions man oneself have created on the ground has come to an end at last. People in every nation themselves loosen the principles of prioritizing own nation and monopolizing the winnings. All nations are losing the egoistic colors and coming onto the path of the reunification. When all has restored to its original state, one will know how and where it is plotted in the first place. Because of the divine plan, the original gods themselves retire from the 7, the 6 and the 5-dimensional worlds and stay behind as the hidden guardian deities. And let all the gods under the 4-dimensional world act freely to their full satisfaction, so that they will not have any regrets left. They are let to do whatever they want to do in order for them not to go back to the selfishness again. So that the restoration must not be hindered when time for it comes. It is a dissipated time. The gods and the heaven are not considered in people's lives. It is to give the hardships to every god, spirit and people. Namely the gods and man in the 4 and the 3-dimensional worlds respectively, and make them strong forever. It is a world artificially made. In every upper layer of the universe is made orderly. Every dimension that is governed by the original gods that continuously work on supplying the material source directly and controlling the whole universe. The gods preside over the 4-dimensional world, and from the upper than the 5-dimensional worlds are presided over by the 2 original gods, the ultimate original parental gods. The difference is only their occupation and business in the respective dimensions. In the universe exists the cycle of the changes, which is unavoidable. Time of the freewheeling started in it has now come to time of the reunification after time of the limitation is over. All the human beings in the world holding their tongue have entered it. The divine transition of the creation, the freewheeling, the limitation, the unification circulates the whole universe like the seasons on the ground. Nothing can avoid it. Even the gods abide by it naturally. At the end of the transition, everything comes to the completion and gains the fruits from the perfect unification of the world. And it completes the circulation. Where the God's intention and the task are placed for the new transition at the beginning is solely shown in the new plot of the gods. Now the great transition and the great hope start with the powerful completion of both mind and body of all the gods with the dearest wish of the original gods. Under the completion of the world, every dimension of the universe, the gods and man only progress. Time will change unbelievably. All goes back to their original state. Everything from the 8-dimensional world to the 3-dimensional world, and the gods and man together. Go enter the new route of the progress as a family of the universal community. What is the purpose of the world to be made and developed is plotted in the original idea in the first place. A series of the process for the original transition is initiated by the instruction of the gods in the 7 dimensions. It comes to the gods of the creation in the 6-dimensional world, and their instruction gets through the 5 and the 4 dimensions, and reaches the live spiritual body and the supermicroscopic substance that are produced by the original parental gods in the 7 and the 6 dimensions, and reaches finally the 3-dimensional world, namely the real world. It is the product of the wills of the 7 and the 6-dimensional world of the creation. All of the source of the substances are given immortal life in the 5-dimensional world, and together with the ray become powerful. Gaining life and becoming powerful, they show up and work on their respective task in the 5, the 4 and the 3-dimensional worlds. In the 4-dimensional world, the God Spirit split from the original gods. Wears the spiritual body made of the spiritual material freely and innocently transforms into any formations according to the desire of the spirit. In it also accumulate lots of spiritual materials that are the source of substances. The wills of the original parental gods develop so dense that a life form and a livelihood are completed. So long years a life is kept. All the experiences in the 4-dimensional world are reflected to the 3-dimensional world. The 3-dimensional world is like a mirror for the 4-dimensional world. A life on the earth of the 3-dimensional world is the real life in the world where the spirit has its home in the heaven and actualizes its wish. It is the world where each spirit enjoys to actualize its power, and everything is visible and comes to a fruition. Everything happened in the 4-dimensional world is actualized in this real world. All the disorders and their scenes are reflected to this real world. The same spirit wears the spiritual body and comes to this world with the actualized body to make a living. So naturally the reflection is a matter of course. The original gods have placed the spiritual and the spectrum worlds for the spiritual cleansing between the 4 and the 3 dimensions to keep the order and the God Spirit clean forever. The original gods wish all the spirits to have many experiences and gain the power to progress and develop eternally. Their great thoughtfulness and consideration as a parent cannot be measured. From the beginning of the creation of every dimension in the whole universe up to now, the continuous guard, the effort and the far-sighted consideration of the original gods are placed for the house in the universe where all the gods to live. Whatever has happened and whichever the routes are taken, all are within the care of the original gods. A series of the original changes in the universe are initiated by the intention of the gods of the 7 dimensions that reaches the gods of the creation of the 6 dimensions. The instruction of the gods of the creation passes the 5 and the 4 dimensions, and the God Spirit and the original material fill the 4 and the 3-dimensional worlds. Using these elements freely, further metabolism is provided sufficiently. A new substance has restarted to fall again. Always everlastingly it is prepared and timingly plotted. A new aspect will even change the contents of the method that have been taken as a matter of form during the long period of the artificial age. It has come to enter a new age. Even the new substance is provided and is accumulated on the ground sufficiently. It must be used efficiently. The atmospheric substance that is vital and powerful fills with a new plan of heaven. It is containing the source of material goes beyond everything and brings an entirely new atmosphere and gives man a high-spirited nature. The new substance that has been prepared and falling has the power to change man and even one's heart. If man wants to get it as much as possible, one must use one's original heart. The new substance likes it and prefers to gather on such a man itself voluntarily and automatically. The source of the material is begun in the wills of the gods. Because it is the solidification of the wills of the gods, it has a nature to respond to the request or the will of man. But there also is filled with the artificial intention or the thinkings born because of man's egoism in this world. Man must find oneself what one really wants and where one's peaceful and intellectual mind for one's judgment exists. Man must possess that mind. It is a world where man always need to judge one's mind whether it comes from the spirit or the worldly matters in one's life. Man can easily accomplish it when one uses a flash of the Spirit's inspiration that is a true state of one's mind. Man must go on one's life with the Spirit first and the worldly matters and the feelings second. Man can easily maintain one's health in taking the least substance from the source of the material to one's body that makes the metabolism efficient, which makes it stay longer in one's body. Man furnishes the mechanism that requires all the stages of the metabolism to process for the source of the material in the atmosphere. Man requires all kinds of the substances and has the function of the metabolism for them. Man varies due to the spirit's kind, its lineage, its location, its amount, its density and its nature. Man is so made as the God with the flesh body. All the other creatures also are benefited by the atmospheric substance and conduct the metabolism. There are no creatures that do not require the metabolism. Man, animals, plants, minerals and even stones all live vividly on the basis of the metabolism. Living creatures on the ground have basic elements of soil, water and salt add to the original substance in the atmosphere. All of their living depends on the continuation of the spirit. The spiritual body and the body function has mechanism to increase their metabolism by themselves. The basic body absorbs the atmospheric substance and gains the vital energy. Further, one is so stimulated oneself to emit the vivid vitality of the spirit's nature for a living on the ground. Man must always be conscious of a kind of one's spirit bestowed by the gods, and always try to see the fairness and the square in him/her. Never to forget the heaven and to feel the harmonious atmosphere of the universe that is still within the thought of the gods. It is the true state of man. To create the three-dimensional world, man must actualize one's feeling and the true facts that have been furnished with man from the beginning of the creation of the universe. Already up to the boundary of the four-dimensional world it has been ready and the respective jobs and the functions are completed. Now the real world is to be made, making use of all the experiences and the faculties accumulated. It is the creation of the real world where all comes to a fruition. Next to the boundary of the four-dimensional world is placed the spiritual world to make the segregation clear and to keep the upper worlds holy. Started from the wills of the original two gods who are arisen from the nothingness, the intention is made by the consensus of all the upper worlds. It is collated with every dimension and stimulated by the new desires. It goes toward realizing the visible and the substantiated world. the source of the material alive and like the atmosphere, gradually fills the celestial sphere and increases density and makes the elements of moon and sun finally. It is kept quite long and the original two gods only exist. The original two gods have the strong wills for the creation and let the source of the material have the process of the fructification. Namely to let the three-dimensional world have everything of the upper worlds to make it the real world. Everything in the four-dimensional world, the faculties and even the gods wearing the live spiritual body that freely can act, are all enthusiastic about the plot of the original gods and building the earthly world filled fully with the spiritual material. Their expectation and delight are great. The three-dimensional world is made as the world of the limitation. In it all can fulfill their desires to make the base of the universe stronger. Nobody is not in the fatherly god's debt. Kokuso Kunatakatachi Okami, another name, Kunayorozu Sukuri Nashi Okami, appears in the god spiritual world. This world, the earth, the three-dimensional world is greatly provided all the materials by moon. The original gods have made and given everything such as soil and the essence of water to make the source of life. Further, the functions of the metabolism and the regeneration also are given. Nothing but a seed of the gods born from the extreme of the universe. To let the three-dimensional world live and all others live too with the function of the metabolism. Everlastingly, quietly and peacefully nurture itself. And the gods with the desires guard and watch the growth of the living creatures. No matter what the distance is far, all lives are provided abundantly with the God's will and the materials of the gods. It is divine world where the whole universe lives with the gods. Judge oneself and stand at the vital point in one's judgment. Nobody could abort and distort it. In its principle the universe peacefully and eternally flourishes. Man's heart strengthens the power in one's spirit, though occasionally gets depressed but never stops and changes and keeps going on for the progress of everything.